Hello, everyone. I'm Janet Pogue McLaurin with Gensler. I'm our global workplace research leader. My slides are doing something a little funny. Let me try it one more time. I'm not sure why it is flashing. There we go. So we're off to the races. Again, I'm Janet Pogue McLaurin with Gensler, and I'm going to share Gensler's data and research as it relates to the global future of work. We've been building a database of workplace research since 2005. We're starting to understand how people work, how that's changing over time, how to measure space effectiveness, workplace experience, and what people value. But when the pandemic hit, we knew that was a fundamental shift in how people were starting to work, what they expected out of their workplace. And so we quadrupled the amount of research in this past year. And so what I'm going to share with you this morning is our latest research. It's really looking at how and where do office workers want to work in a post-pandemic future. And we've looked at 6 different countries right now, the US, the UK, France, India, Australia, and China. In fact, I'm going to share a kind of sneak peek of what we're seeing in India because that is not even released yet. So you'll be one of the first to see some of this data. We surveyed Australia, the US, UK, and France in about the August timeframe. All 4 countries received the exact same question set so that we could do a global comparison. And when we added China, that was right after the Chinese New Year, back when COVID cases were very low. And then we released India in August. Again, their cases were very low at the beginning of that of the survey, but as the survey was in the field, that's when the cases started rising. In all situations, we've got a great demographic segmentation. We've looked at 10 different industries, not all 10 in all local markets, depending on what they were really strong in, but at least 5 of the 10 in every market. And you can see those distributed right here. These are not our Gensler clients. This is actually a third-party panel-based anonymous survey. So from a statistical sampling, it is very 99% statistically accurate in all 10 of these industries. We got a good distribution of roles, generations, and living situations. So we could compare to see if parents of small children, for example, have different expectations than those living alone. This is where the office workers were at the time of the survey. This is looking at those full-time at home. So you can see China only had 1% working full-time at home. They were already back. France also at the time of their survey was mostly back at the office. You can see the others were about a third to half the population working at home. This is looking at those full-time at the office. We were surprised in the US, for example, as 29% that many people were already full-time back to the office. Again, this was really focused on office workers in companies of about 100 or more. And you can see China is at 12% full-time back at the office, whereas France was 64%. And then the balance is they were hybrid. And what we mean by hybrid as we're looking at this data is they were spending time both working remotely and working at the office. And it was a little bit of a surprise when we were looking at the China data at how much people were not full-time at the office. And as we compared back to 2016, we could see that they were actually very comparable. And it gave validity to the research because we have more than one data point. This is what we're finding from a historical standpoint of building a database of research so that you can start to see how things are actually evolving and changing. We stepped back and looked at all 6 countries of what are the universal truths, what's emerging. So we found that, working from home supports certain activities. It's been brutally efficient in terms of focus and doing that alone work, well-being and balancing well-being and just work-life balance has been a benefit. Although the longer we're working from home, the more that blurring is occurring, and actually people feel like they're starting to live at work instead of working at home. But the office is still the best place to come together, to be with people. We really miss people. We miss connecting with our colleagues. We miss collaborating, both formal and informal, and we certainly miss socializing with our colleagues, feeling part of a community, and that sense of belonging that comes with it. But most people, as they start looking at the future of what their ideal preferences are, really prefer a hybrid. They want the best of both worlds. And so this is looking at the ideal preference in the United States. About 1 in 2 want that hybrid. And you can see how it breaks out with mostly working at home, full-time at home, mostly at the office, and full-time at the office. This is how it compares looking across the globe. In fact, the US was the most conservative, with 1 out of 2 wanting that hybrid. 2 out of 3 in the UK, India, and Australia. 3 out of 4 office workers in France want the hybrid, and 4 out of 5 in China, which was a real surprise. They've been back to the office for a long while. So we were really interested in what can we learn from China that could start to apply to other countries. We did not see a difference in gender. We did not see a huge difference in ideal preferences, even in living situations. Parents with small children under 5, there was a slight uptick of wanting to be full-time at home or spending a little bit more time at home. But we saw that offset with those with teenagers actually wanting to get back to the office. But we did see a difference in industry. And you can see the industry comparisons right here. And this was pretty consistent across all countries. You're looking at the US data right here. But again, it was very consistent. Consumer goods, sciences, even government, they had more of a draw to be full-time back at the office because they were tethered to particularly specific spaces and the like back at the office. The longer the commute, the more we saw a correlation to people wanting to be hybrid. In other words, they didn't want to spend full-time at home if they had a long commute, but they just wanted to take that commute fewer days a week. These were the top rank reasons to come to the office. So everything in a shade of green has to do with coming together as people. But you'll see in red that they're in the top, four or so rankings is to focus on your work. There is a segment of the population that needs the office in order to focus. We also saw a change in role. So the more senior you are, the more apt you are to report that your job is reliant on in-person collaboration. And that could be a trigger for coming back to the office. We also saw that the idea of your job is reliant on specific spaces, resources, or materials in the office. And that was certainly the case with consumer goods and sciences. For those that had a choice, we asked, why are you choosing to work the way that you're working? And you'll see that those that are choosing to work full-time in the office in shades of blue on the left, those are all things that help them work more productively and efficiently. The things on the right, full-time at home, in shades of orange and yellow, those are all things about saving time and money, and even in terms of the commute or where they're most comfortable. But those in the hybrid is a mixture of both. That's the best of both worlds. And when we compared that to business drivers, we saw a big difference. If you're full-time in the office or full-time at home, it did not perform as well as those in a hybrid work mode in terms of personal creativity, relationships with colleagues, individual and team productivity, even the ability to solve problems was much better if you're working in this hybrid work model. So that means that the office is more relevant than ever. And we were able to take all this workplace research and data and combine it with our other research to try to get a fuller story. So we combined it looking at our Gensler City Pulse survey, where we're seeing that people are actually, the relationships with their cities is actually changing, and they're starting to prefer smaller, more vibrant cities and neighborhoods. We also saw it in our climate action research that is starting to put a bigger focus on health and well-being, and we're seeing that play out in the workplace as well. And finally, looking at our experience research, we're seeing that, the pandemic has forced us to step back and take stock of what's really important, how we want to spend our time, and what is really important in terms of life with other people. That's both our families as well as our colleagues. So with that, I'm going to pose a question about an opportunity. How do we want to return to what was, or create what could be? And so with that, I'll open up for any questions. Feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll be glad to try to answer whatever we can. If you would like to have access to any of this research, just go to the link at the bottom. It's our homepage under research, and you will see detailed reports by country for each of the workplace surveys that we've done over the years, or you can contact me at my email posted on the screen. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions that you would like to pose. I don't see anything in the chat or in the Q&A. So I'll give it a second more. And otherwise, we'll send you on to the next bite-sized learning. I see that there is a question, but I don't see the question itself. I see the word popping up as question, but again, thanks for your time. Again, go to our website. You can download any of our research by country, and I really appreciate you listening. Have a great rest of conference. Oh, there is a question. It just popped up. Is there any data about the impact of work organization and commuting and the will or not to go back to the office? Yes, that's exactly what we were sharing, Anne Claire, that the longer the commute, the more people wanted to shift, the higher percentage of respondents that wanted to actually shift into a hybrid work mode. So we did not see a correlation that they wanted to work from home full time, but they did want to be able to work fewer days in the office. And all those ideal preferences is how much they want to go into the office in their ideal preference mode. Again, thanks everyone. I think we're out of time. Have a great rest of day.